Hello and welcome to the Republica Unicornia podcast. I'm Kathleen. I'm the head yarn wench of Republica Unicornia. I'm an independent yarn dyer, a project bag maker, and just a whole mess of creative chaos. I haven't recorded a video since July. Nothing's wrong. I'm fine. I've just been busy, been working. Sometimes when I get really deep in production mode, there's nothing to show but me not having washed my hair in a long time and yarn. So anyway, I'm back. I wanted to pop in. I do have a shop update coming this Thursday, November the 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be an infomercial portion of this, which I will front load. So if you don't want to watch me shill my own products, that's totally fine. Just fast forward. I think we can even put in timestamps like we know what we're doing. So I'm going to start with that. I also have quite a bit of knitting chatter about works in progress. I have some finished objects and things to show y'all. And some sewing talk. Hey, if you're new here, I have no idea how you found me, but welcome. I am just going to be talking about a bunch of things. I cut my hair. I don't know if that's interesting, but if you haven't seen my face since July, I chopped all my hair off, which is very fun. And I'm thoroughly enjoying my Miss Fisher bob, which I had for years. And I started at the beginning of the year, I started a project. I'd say it's a project, but it's really just me going all in and deciding that I really wanted my handmade wardrobe to reflect a late 30s, early to mid 40s style. And it was supposed to be like a little capsule project. And of course I figured out it's not so much a project as it is my entire style. So in doing that, I used to have really long hair. And in doing that, I was like, oh, my hair doesn't match my clothes and it feels weird. And my hair is super straight and super fine and does not hold a curl. I can't do anything to it. Like it doesn't even stay in bobby pins. So my two hair options are like long 1960s bangs or 1920s bobs. So we are back to the bob. I know it is not 40s, but that is okay. I'm really enjoying it. And that was a lot of talk about my hair. I don't know how to do this anymore. It's been like 6 months. So, and now I'm burping. Gross, guys. Where are y'all here? Before we get in, just a little bit of a disclaimer. I might mildly to moderately swear, so that might happen. And you may not like my energy. Hyperactive crafting chihuahua may not be your jam. Totally fine. If that's not your thing, you can go find lots of other white ladies who are very soothing. I am not soothing, but I am having a nice time. So let's go ahead and dive into the infomercial portion. So again, if you don't want me to sell stuff to you, then you can just fast forward. We will put in timestamps. Awesome. Okay. So I'm calling it the We Cozy Shop update on Thursday, January. What is time? November the 9th at 7 p.m. And it's just a small update. I'm doing a bigger one for Small Business Saturday that will have holiday bags, but I wanted to just like squeeze in a couple of things. So it is fiber and just a little bit of yarn and a handful of project bags. Oh, and a new notion that I'm going to have to pause and go get because I don't have it in the studio. No, I don't. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in with yarn. So this will be available. We have Won't Want for Love on BFL sock. This is a very foresty, piney green. It leans a little blue in undertones, kind of. I mean, it's just like a forest green. It's a very nice, like, winter holiday color. I have Provincial Midnight on Pure BFL and BFL sock. I will have just a few skeins of Watergate fan fiction. This is by far the funniest colorway I've ever dyed, and there is a story. The story is in the 2019 impeachment trial, Devin Nunes from California accused Democrats of engaging in Watergate fantasies, which I thought was so funny. And I texted my spouse the news story, and I said, like, I think we need to write Watergate fanfic. Well, my spouse is very, very into committing to the bit. And so he sent me a text with a snippet of Watergate fan fiction. And then he got his brother in on the act, and like, hilarious. So Watergate fanfic was born out of that. And if you are an American of a certain age, you may remember eating a Watergate salad. Now, for those of you who have not had the joy of doing so, this is a mid-century culinary abomination. It is pistachio-flavored instant pudding, which is why it's green. And it is Cool Whip, non-dairy whipped topping, and pecans. My grandmother always put pecans in it. Pecans, mini marshmallows, and crushed pineapple. And it's called a salad. It is cloyingly sweet. Oh, and you garnish with maraschino cherries. So after my spouse and his brother decided that they were going to write Watergate fan fiction, I was like, okay, well, I need to dye yarn that looks like a Watergate salad. So that is what we have here. It is a pistachio base, and it's got little maraschino cherry speckles. It has some, I don't know if you can see them. It's got some crushed pineapple speckles. Like, it does what it says on the tin. It makes very fun holiday socks. And judging from how it is sold in years past, a lot of y'all really do understand it. So just a little bit of this. I've dyed it for years. This was it was a 2019 colorway. So there's a little bit of this. I also have Chelsea Morning on Rambouillet worsted and Tarhi sock. This one's very fun. The light in here is weird. Winter's happening. So this is like gray rainbow prism loveliness. I have a one-of-a-kind that was a failure of Want for Love that I'm naming Ann and Water, which is another song on the Decemberist album that Want for Love is on. It's a really, I like it enough that I took a skein out for me. The Rambouillet worsted base sometimes sucks up dye in weird ways. And this one was extra weird. And so I'm selling it as a one-of-a-kind, but it's like this very lovely variegated green. It's got like teal and forest and like some mossy greens in it. And like there's a little bit of a gray tone to it because, spoilers, there's black and Won't Want for Love. So you see a little bit of a couple flashes of gray. So there's only a couple of skeins of this, but I kept one. So I don't think it's hideous. And then there's going to be Callenwald on Turkey Sock. I love this one. I love this because it's like a festive colorway that's not aggressively so. So that's the yarn. Let me scooch that out of the way. And then we have spinning fiber. I would say that I definitely spent more time dyeing fiber for this. So these are going to be, the first round is the Rambouillet fiber. It is 100% U.S. everything grown processed Rambouillet wool. It's very nice. I don't spin, but the spinners really like it. So we keep them happy because I like watching what they make. So there will be Starry Night, Rainbow Connection, Watergate Fanfic. So stupid. Honestly, like, sometimes the way I decide colorways is, do they make me cackle like I just did? And this one makes me cackle. So if you need like pistachio, I put extra dye in it, so it's like extra obnoxiously mint green. Thanks for being here. Callenwald, Provincial Midnight. And this is I did a little bit of this in the last update. This is a merino silk. It is an 80%, and it's a completely traceable U.S. everything merino and 20% mulberry silk. Oh my gosh. Again, I don't spin. I just like touching the fiber and seeing what y'all make. That sounds very voyeuristic. Kind of is. So this is Sundown on the merino silk. Oh my gosh, I cannot, y'all. It is so fluffy and soft, and it dyes beautifully. And I don't know if you can see, it has like the silk has a little bit of a texture to it. It is, I'm going to say luscious, and it's going to sound gross, but that's the only word I can think of. So it's luscious. I need to order like a bunch of this. It is a little on the more on the expensive end, but like whatever. I do not even care because it feels so amazing. And because it has silk in it, it has a lot of drape. I ordered a sample, like a pound sample, and so I dyed 4 braids on it. I did 2 in the last update and 2 in this one, and it needs to come hang out in my house because it is so soft. after I braided it up, I just kind of like slung it over my shoulder and was carrying it around. This is either why you buy from small businesses or why you don't. So that is all of the wool stuff. I'm definitely winding down a little bit. My creativity in the dye studio kind of tanks from like Halloween to, I don't know, mid-February or so. It's like a little hibernation thing. So this was kind of, I'll obviously be dyeing sweaters quantities if you order them, and sometimes I sneak in, but there's not going to be any of the like huge, giant, multi-hundred skein updates probably till the end of February. But there is a lot of yarn in the shop. So bags. I'm going to start with the extra large sweater weather bags. These are the like this size. They're like, I don't know what the seam allowance, 19 inches wide. 19, I think. So they're pretty big. They hold up to 9 skeins of fingering weight yarn. So there's this one. Look at this body. I love this print. I actually made bags in I think the smaller scale version of this print. And there's the inside. So there's that one. This one's called Woodland Magic. And we have Art Nouveau kitties. Look at them. I love them. Black cats are so fabric photogenic. Oh. And then we have this Charlie Harper print, which is bird nest, so it's bird homes. Oh, I forgot to show you the inside. And there's the inside. I always pick coordinating interior fabrics because I get bored sewing bags. I mean, I don't get bored. I make sure I don't get bored sewing bags. So they all have fun insides, and that doesn't always show up in the photos, but they are always there. I'm never just going to do like a plain interior fabric. That's the one. Oh my gosh. We're going to talk about all of these friends. It's all my friends. Like we've got a badger. Look at the badger. And I said badger like I grew up in the Midwest because I grew up in the Midwest. Badger. This owl buddy. Look at the Luna moth. This little bird. Okay, and this little frog. And the bat. I mean, I just love it. And it's on this like really dark, it's a black background. It's a black background. And just the colors are lovely. And I went with this zipper that's like a purpley gray. Anyway, I have a nice time. And there's the inside. So these are the, oh, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. These are the sweater weather bags. So these are like, sweater weather in the sense that like you knit shawls when it's chilly out. I mean, I'm the size of a 12-year-old, and so like sometimes I can fit sweaters in here, but I'd say like a 3 to 4 skein project will fit comfortably in these. So there's that one. And we have little foxy friends. Look at how cozy they are. There's scars and mushrooms and foxies. So we have a trail cam. I got one for my birthday, and I'm getting a second one for Christmas because you know you are reaching middle age when like this is it, right? And we have foxies. We had fox cubs in our backyard in the spring, and we have foxy friends that hang out, and we have possums, and we have raccoons, and we have lovely wildlife, and I really like the fox. The foxies are great. So, just little mushrooms and books. Oh. Anyway. It's got a green zipper. And the inside has thread in it because, you know, I make these. And it's got a little metallic star business going on. So those are the foxy friends. And this one. So sometimes I order fabrics and I'm like, y'all aren't gonna be into these. Like, this is too weird. No, every time. Every weird one I've gotten. So this one is Medieval Marginalia. So from the margins of medieval manuscript, somebody got bored or was like anti-pope or all of the above. I think the light just did something weird. It's okay. So we have rabbits riding a goat snail? Question mark? We have this little dude going on. It's a cat snail. It's a cat snail, and it is going into battle. The bunny with a battle axe. Maybe this is the bunny from Monty Python and the Holy Grail with the big teeth. Crossover. Relevant to all of my interests. In case you're interested, I really enjoy the podcast Gone Medieval. It is one of the History Hit podcasts, which is a podcast network, and a lot of the podcasts just feel like smart academic friends talking to each other in a very fun way. And Gone Medieval's really good. There's a Tudor one. There's a lot of really good ones. But the inside of the medieval marginalia is, you can't see it. Dang it, winter-ish. It is a sparkly red. It's metallic. It's got gold threads in it, so it's sparkly. Because illuminated manuscripts. I commit to the bid. So next up are sock bags. This one is dear to my heart because I grew up in suburban Chicago. So it's a Chicago dog, and it has a tomato. It has the relish. It has everything it's supposed to have on a poppy seed bun. I also went with an interior fabric that was neon yellow-green as a nod to the relish. So, sock bags. These are for like 1 to 2 skein projects. I mean, they really are good for socks. They have a wrist strap, so you can wear them about. So that's that one. This one is Extremely Grumpy Kitties. Look at their little faces. Look, this dude kills me. We have the vet said he was thick with 2 C's yesterday. We have a slightly chunky tabby. He's perfect. But this is like, except Francis has never been grumpy in his life, but this little tubby boy, I love him. So there's the front, and there's the inside, complete with thread. So that's Grumpy Kitties. And then this one I did in the spring. It is cardamom buns and coffee. It's very cozy. I actually have pajamas in the larger scale of this fabric, and it makes me happy and hungry every time I wear it. So it's the cardamom buns. And then this one I think is my favorite. Every time. It is a like very, very inspired by William Morris sort of botanical print, but it has sleepy little squirrels on it. Relevant to all of my interests, frankly. Look at these babies. And the inside has a little bit of metallic sparkle to it. It's this wine color, and the zipper's the same color. I really love this one. This one like screams November to me. Can we just say, I'm gonna say this, I like November, and I feel like it gets kind of lost in the shuffle. I enjoy, at least where I live in Atlanta, like this is when we have fall weather. Like it's still hot a lot of October, and the colors are really beautiful. Like everything is all gold and green, and you know the days are chillier. Like it's when you can wear knitwear without a coat kind of weather for us. But like I don't like the festive holiday season, everybody seems to think, myself included because we have to make money, starts on November the 1st. Like I don't like that it gets lost in the shuffle. So I am here to enjoy November, and so this bag screams November to me. Okay, I am going to be right back. Sorry, Yarn Spouse, you're gonna have to edit this, and I'm gonna come back with the new notion to show y'all. Okay, so back with my notion. So I work very closely and happily with Twin Mountain Handcrafts. They do all of my stitch markers and all of the notions that you see that are not buttons, because I make those, but like the needle gauge and swatch rulers, like all those things, and they make lovely, lovely, lovely things. So I have a lot of works in progress. I have enough for me. And they all live in project bags, and I have like a basket in our living room, and I can never remember what's in what basket, what's in what bag. I just can't. And like sometimes like I'll start projects and seasons will change and I'll come back to it. Anyway, I just forget, and it drives me crazy, and I hate having to go through all of them. So they made me, and by me I mean all of us, if you purchase them, bag tags that clip on to your project bag. I'm going to unclip it so you can see it in all of its glory. Hopefully the camera will cooperate. The camera is not cooperating. So they are mirrored iridescent. I'm sure you can see it. They are very shiny, mirrored iridescent, and they have the Republica Unicornia unicorn on them. So they're like unicorns and rainbows. And you write on them with Sharpie, which you can remove with a soft cloth and rubbing alcohol. And I did tests because we were a little afraid before I started stocking them. We were a little afraid that they were going to, like, it was going to damage the finish that if you used rubbing alcohol on them. But I did it like 30 times and they're fine. So yay. So you write on them with Sharpie, whatever your project is. And then when it's time to change it, when you finish your project, because you're a responsible human, good job you. Just a soft cloth, a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and it comes right off. I love them. I feel like I've been holding out on y'all. I ordered these in August. But I didn't want them to get lost in the shuffle because they are so fun. And so they have these like nice little clips, and they clip to the, like the, I don't know if you can see, there's like the tiny part of your zipper where the zipper pull usually goes. And then there's the chunkier part, and they just clip into the chunkier part. And they're great. I love them. They've made my life feel a little easier. So those will be available in the update too. There are quite a few of them, and I'm already planning a restock. Some of them ended up on my projects, so there aren't as many as I thought there were going to be in the shop because I'm a monster. So those are coming. These are also really good stocking stuffers, like little treats for your yarn people. Like, I love them. Also, like, they hit this very specific child of the like growing up in the early 90s shiny sticker piece of my soul, which is a large piece of my soul, frankly. So anyway, these are coming. So one thing I did forget to mention in this update, 15% of the total sales, and just as a note, how I do total sales is I literally just look at whatever my gross income for the update is and take 15%. So like technically you're donating a portion of shipping is going to donations too, just so y'all know. It's just easier for me. Makes sense. So 15% of total sales from this update are going to go to World Central Kitchen. I will link them below. I just did a YouTube. I will link them below so you can check them out if you would like to donate directly. They are getting meals on the ground in Gaza, and feeding people in times of crisis is incredibly important. And as a person whose primary first vocational love is cooking, it's really important to me. So that will be going on. Again, direct donations are best. But if you happen to require yarn project bags, bag tags, whatever, like just so y'all know, that's where 15% of the monies will be going. So that is all of the shop talk. So if you opted out of the infomercial, welcome back. Let's talk about some crafting. So my garment knitting mojo completely disappeared from like April to, I started a sweater in July, I did. But it just like went poof. And it's back a little bit because I can wear stuff. Like, I mean, I live in the deep south, and so I can't wear anything even remotely wool-ish. And I don't even want to touch it from like, I don't know, March to October. But Garment Knitting Mojo is back. So I have a couple of things to talk about. I have shown all of these and talked about all of these on Instagram. I prefer Instagram as a format because I like the immediacy of it, and I don't have to like sit down and talk about it a lot. But I am going to talk about these here. So if you have already seen these on Instagram, you get a double talk about them. Also, not apologies, just FYI, I know there's construction noise. Georgia Power next door to us is putting up a new pole, and it is so loud all of the time, and it is very annoying, and it is not normally loud around our house. So if you hear truck noises, that's what that is. So first finished object is the Jones cardigan. This is by MVP's Tin Can Knits. They write great patterns, super size inclusive, always have been. They were kind of my go-to when I was a beginner because they made interesting techniques accessible. And I really love their patterns, and they're good humans. Like, I just really recommend them. Plus, when you buy a pattern, you get everything from like baby to full-size adult. So like if you have small humans in your life you also need to knit for, it's great. I've knit a lot of baby gifts. So the Jones cardigan is a V-neck. I don't know if you can see it. It's a V-neck cardigan. It calls for a shawl collar, but I did not want a shawl collar, so I just did ribbing all the way around, and it works beautifully. It fits really well. I love it. The yarn is mine in BFLDK in the colorway Ramble On. It's my ideal burnt orange. I have been coveting a burnt orange cabled cardigan since forever, and I could never find the right yarn and right color, so I made it. This is why I learned how to dye yarn. So hot take, I think one of the highest callings of hand-dyed tonal yarn, so ones without a ton of variegation, is cables. Like, it just really allows the sort of subtle variations in the yarn to shine. I'm really, really pleased with it. And the lighting is not great in here, but it kind of glows. The BFL DK has a little bit of luster to it, and it just kind of glows, and I really enjoyed it. It fits right in my wardrobe, stylistically, color-wise, all of that. I did do a button band with ribbon on it. I've started doing this because I like buying ribbon, but also I really like it as a finish. So I think I have a video on this channel on how, yeah, I do. You can watch a video about it, about how I sew down the button bands. This is actually a vintage ribbon that I found on Etsy. And it just gives a little bit of stability. It gives the buttons something to hold on to so you can sew them on with regular thread. It's kind of weird to sew buttons on with yarn, one, because the buttonhole isn't always big enough, but also using regular thread on like a hand knit surface feels a little strange to me. So it stops everything from stretching out. It kind of stabilizes it. I have not gone as far as doing a ribbon on the buttonhole side. And I've been thinking about it, like, what you could technically do is machine sew and cut buttonholes in the ribbon before you get it sewn down, so the buttonhole like goes through your knit fabric and then also all the way through the button ribbon. Did I make any sense? Through the buttonhole ribbon. There you go. That seems like such a faff. It also seems like, knitting isn't as stable as sewing. I feel like the precision would be a lot, but I guess if I get really motivated, I could do that. I also never wear my cardigans buttons, so. Anyway, so this is the Jones. Highly recommend. So enjoyable. Not super fast, but the cables are really easy to memorize. Cables are one of those things that looks really complicated, and they really aren't. Like, they're just not. They're so fun. So I've been really enjoying this, and since it's DK, it's a good weight for my life. So that is the Jones cardigan in Ramble On. And I actually started this, I think I talked about this in the spring. I started this project and I did the ribbing, and then it got warm and I completely lost interest. I don't want to touch it. I don't want anything to do with it. So this is and then I picked it back up and like finished it in a week. This is a good thing. I have been doing a lot more vintage style bottom up thing. Basically everything I'm going to talk about now is that bottom up things, and they all start with like, knit 7 miles of ribbing on teensy tiny needles. So once I got through the ribbing, it was kind of fun. So this is the Peggy vest by Susan Crawford Vintage, this was my first Susan Crawford pattern, and I was like I'm kind of fussy about pattern writing. I have preferences, and I'm like really into sort of clarity and brevity. Like, there just aren't a ton of pattern writers that I just love, and I was a little nervous because I love her aesthetic and her design so much, and I was like, gosh, what if I hate her pattern writing and I have to like suffer through it? Oh no, there was no suffering. Okay, I'm gonna put this down and we'll talk about it in a second, and I'm going to wax poetic about Susan Crawford's pattern writing. A+, no notes, so good. There are, first of all, size inclusive. So what she does, if you are not familiar with her, go check her out, buy everything, seriously, at this point. Her whole deal is she takes vintage knitting patterns, styles, and this isn't all that she does, but it's kind of what she's known for, and she adapts them for modern knitters. And I mean that in multiple ways. She charts everything, she adds steeks, she does... Her size range is really good, like really good, which if you've ever tried to knit a vintage knitting pattern, they're all like a 32-inch bust, which as someone with a 32-inch bust is lovely, but like how many people have 32-inch busts? Not that many. And so she makes them really, really accessible, and the formatting is beautiful, like very clear, but not like so much detail you get lost in it. She provides really good schematics with illustrations. Like one of her patterns that I will talk about in a minute, like the number of different measurements she provides, like, it's amazing. If you're a knitting geek, like, I literally have nothing bad to say about it. There was nothing. And just so good. And she's so, I feel like I could just knit her patterns and like be busy for years. Her current, this one, the Peggy is from her current, it's only available as an ebook and it's not complete. So she's releasing a pattern every few months. It is $30 and I have already got my money's worth. I think I want to make all of the things in it. So you can go to her website and buy that, not sponsored, like a knitwear designer would sponsor me. So good. So anyway, this is the Peggy vest. Thank you for coming to my free advertisement for Susan Crawford Vintage. Oh my gosh. I just, like the historical nerd in me and the knitting nerd in me, it's just like, pew, rainbows, and also lots and lots of color work knitting. So this is the Peggy vest, and it was delightful. Oh, another thing she does that I really love. So a lot of vintage patterns are knit flat. That was kind of like a convention in this time period. This one is from 1943. And she provides options for knitting things flat and seaming them, which I will die before I knit colorwork flat. And she provides in the round, and she gives you both, I think, on most of her patterns that have that. So she's done so much work, and it's so worth it. So this is the Peggy vest. I went with the knitted in the round because, again, death before colorwork flat. It has armhole steeks and it has a neck steek. So look at this colorwork though. It was easy to memorize. So there's like this is actually a good intro project if you are looking at stranded colorwork. Vests are great because no sleeves, but also it's enough to keep you interested, but not so much that you're like, oh my gosh, I have to knit colorwork forever. I could knit colorwork forever, but if you're looking for kind of a beginner colorwork project, I would recommend this one. The one thing, and this is 100% on me, I am having a hard time fitting vests. I really like knitting vests. I have knit 4 this year. This was number 3. And this is, I think I've talked about this in the past. This is like literally just a me problem, but like a body thing. Is when in sewing patterns, I always have to do what's called a petite bodice adjustment where I take out length here. And when I was buying ready to wear clothes, anything sleeveless would be like huge in the armpits, would have to be taken up here. Like it's like a whole fit thing. And I don't notice it in garments with sleeves because everything kind of pulls down. Like it doesn't matter as much. And I'm really seeing it in vests. So that's one thing. And the other thing is I have a really, really loose row gauge. So I usually have to go down a needle size if I'm trying, which more and more I am. So I knit on the loose side and I'm a continental knitter, it's pretty common. So I usually go down a needle size, which I don't think I did on, maybe I did on this, or maybe, I think I went down half a needle size from the pattern recommendation. I did not swatch. This is on me. So I can usually correct for that. But I also have a ridiculously loose row gauge. So it's always looser than patterns. And that is a hard one to correct for. And I'm finding that it matters in vests when like this measurement right here is weird anyway. And then you add in my loose row gauge and it's hard, especially like if there's shaping and things like that, to adjust for that. So I'm struggling a little bit with that, honestly. Everything I'm making is still wearable. It's just not fitting quite like I want it to. And of all the vests that I've made, the one that fits the best that I made first is the Academic by Scarecrow. And so I may use that kind of as a template and just do my own color work charts. I don't love doing that. Like, I don't love cooking for myself, you know? Like sometimes I just want to knit stuff, but I think that may be the best thing if I want to get stuff that really, really fits. So this definitely is big. And it feels like it's big in the armpits. It like kind of, it doesn't it makes me look a little bit like a linebacker because I'm so narrow, but it does work with 40s puff sleeves, which I have in spades. So I love it. It's beautiful. It was fun to knit. I will wear it. It just doesn't fit quite like I want it to. So it's just something I'm learning because I didn't knit vests and now I'm knitting vests. And so I'm learning things. So speaking of vests, we have another one. This is the Scarecrow vest by Squidney Knits. So, y'all, I am so glad I have wandered into this like corner of vintage knitting. It is like the nerdiest nerd awesome table ever in the knitting world cafeteria, and it is where I'm supposed to sit. Sydney is a knitwear designer, and I believe her patterns are exclusively available on Patreon, but you get so much. Like, oh my gosh, there's videos, the patterns are beautiful. Depending on the tier you get a monthly knitting history lecture that is incredibly well researched, which is very much my jam. That's the tier that I'm at. It's called the lecture tier. And you get a pattern a month, and so they're beautiful. And she works with custom sizing, so you knit to your measurements, which is not a thing for everybody, but I've been knitting long enough now that and sewing that whatever, I know my body, I'm fine doing that little bit of extra swatching, measuring work to make sure I get something that works for my body instead of just following a pattern. That's just where I am in my knitting life, and custom sized vintage style knits is life. So I think this is actually the first pattern from the Patreon. It's the Scarecrow vest. Oh my gosh, I didn't talk about yarn in the last one. We're gonna have to go back. Y'all, I'm so out of practice. This is Harrisville Highland in Hemlock. Harrisville is my ride or die rustic yarn. Be warned, before you block it and working with it, it's a tough one. It feels terrible. And I love rustic yarn, but it's ropey almost, and it feels gross, and it's not real fun to knit with, and then you block it and it's magic and it wears beautifully and it's 100% worth it. And their colors are really, really beautiful. This is a heathered piney green, and it feels it's sturdy and rustic, but not super scratchy, which you would not guess from the skein because yikes. They even say that in their stuff. So this is a Scarecrow vest. Super cute. Great over puff sleeves. Looks great with all of my 40s blouses. Love it. It's a really nice, it's just a nice layering piece. I'm enjoying a vest. It's V-neck. It's knit to my measurements. One funny thing, and this again is that row gauge thing that I was telling you all about. The shoulder seam is an inch on the back because of my row gauge and measurements. It's just a thing. It's just a thing with me. So very, very enjoyable. I would say that just judging from this one, that these patterns are not brand new, I've never knit before kind of patterns. There was some stuff in here that I kind of had to know, but especially compared to actual true vintage patterns, which are I am too stupid. I am a stupid modern American. No way. Can't do it. So I have several more of these projects, not this particular one, but of her patterns lined up. It's very fun. It really is. It's a nice community. There are Zooms. I'm a big fan of, I won't do it because I sell a product. I say this, watch me end up with a Patreon, but I really love Patreon because I like being able to directly support creators that I enjoy. I don't need to I'm glad I get patterns out of this one, but in general, I support quite a few folks because I don't like freeloading, and I really like their content, and I would like good people to keep making nice things. So the Scarecrow vest by Squidney Knits, highly recommend. I think you can go check it out and kind of see. I love it. So this is getting quite a bit of wear. I forgot to talk about yarn. Did you expect linear conversation? Friends. So the main color is Harrisville Shetland, which is their fingering weight yarn, in garnet, which is it's not showing up here. It's beautiful. It's heathered. It's it's a perfect wine color. I've actually been hoarding this particular colorway. The blue is a Marie Wallen British Breeds in Eau and the gold is called Willow, and I think this is Harrisville Shetland in Sand, I think is what it is. So it's a rusticy, your girl loves a rustic color work everything. Gosh, I love sheepy yarns. I do. I know it's weird. I'm a hand dyer and I like work with like nice soft superwash stuff, and then I would like it to burn my hands when I am knitting with it. So that's finished objects. That's like kind of what I've been working on. And because I was a responsible adult and finished some whips and made some like very wearable things, I was on top of it. I cast on my dream project. This is another Susan Crawford pattern called Cloudbusting, and it is, I found the actual vintage pattern maybe like a year ago, and it's not charted because it's like written instructions for color work, which like ninth circle of hell. And I think it was actually like a larger bust size, so I would have had to grade down. I mean, it was like going to be a whole project. Well, Susan Crawford, goddess that she is, released the pattern as part of a Stitch in Time Volume 3, the color work one that the Peggy is from, and she did all of the hard work, so I didn't have to, which was very exciting. So I have been like planning this project just like this, right, since the pattern came out earlier in the year. And I even bought yarn for it, and I was going to do full on 70s Tupperware colors, and then I started just not feeling it. So we listened to that. And so I wanted to go with very 1940s primaries. And this was a whole thing. It's always a whole thing. I was like, I'm going to use stash yarn, and ended up ordering like very close colors. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my process on this. I'm going to show you my swatch on figuring out colors and what I wanted. So this was my swatch. This is not what I landed on. I knit a little bit, and I was like, no, I'm not feeling it. Like the blue was too bright. The contrast wasn't enough for this like middle piece. Like it just wasn't speaking to me. So I redid stuff and we adjust. So it is obviously on the needles, and I'll tell you where in the process I am. At the center? I don't know. Did I stop in the middle of something? I really hope not. Okay, so here it is. Oh my God. This really is like dream project. So the cardigan is like a V-neck button-up, big old 40s square shoulders. I mean, it's like truly a dream. And it's been really fun. It's getting slightly more complicated because there's armhole shaping and neckline shaping, and it's different for each size. And I'm kind of having to go row by row. So my brain is not working quite like I wanted to on that one, but we are getting through. So I would love to have this done for the holidays. It's just like, it just, noises. Yeah. So I'm having a very, very nice time. This is a mix of, this is Harrisville, Shetland, and Sand. This is the blue, red, and yellow are Rauma Finalgarn, the Norwegian one, which is another sort of ride or die color work yarn. There's a little bit of, I don't know if you can see, the light in here is weird. There's some green that I think is a Jameson and Smith. Yeah. So it's kind of a mix of things, but it is exactly the vibe that I wanted, which was 40s primaries. Oh, and so this is not in the pattern. I don't know if you can see, this is like a brown. This is a Jameson and Smith. There's like a little bit of brown there, so you get a little more contrast. It's exactly what I wanted. And I'm really, really excited to wear it forever and love it. I can show you. I have notions, so I have a ribbon for the button band picked out. And I bought these like 2 years ago. And this is kind of what I wanted to match the blue to. So these are vintage, and if you can see, they're vintage iridescent buttons. So it's gonna have vintage buttons and a vintage ribbon, and like, it's just, sometimes dream projects can be terrible because you have all of these expectations and then they never go the way that you want them to. But this one so far is really going how I want it to. And I am having such a nice time with it. I've had to put it on hold because work's been busy and my brain is leaking out through my ears. So, also it is living in a bag I don't sell. This is the Maker's Tote by Noodlehead. This is my first one. 70s Tupperware Unicorns. It's actually really, really good for this project because there's quite a bit of yarn, just like multiple colors. So that has been taking some of my time. And because I needed something a little less brain heavy, I have a cast on that I cast on, I think on Saturday. I did the ribbing. My friend posted it on Instagram, and I like immediately bought the pattern and went stash diving for it. So This is one of the extra large sweater weather bags that I grabby handed from the last update. It's like grungy ice dye that I made. Okay. So this is the High Tide shell from Larkspur Knits, who writes just lovely patterns, just like really well written patterns. And here it is. It's Grove 70s Earth Tone. My color settings are so weird. So it is a sleeveless vest. This is a slip stitch pattern. It's worsted weight. This is a slip stitch pattern. And so it's really easy to work and memorize, and you can kind of use whatever colors you want. The pattern calls for 3 and I'm using 5. So I have like the main color and then I have 4 contrast colors, and it's really easy to figure that out. It's really fun. It's the slip stitches and color changes keep you engaged, but it's not hard. So it's like that perfect, for me, just like perfect brain space. And I am working very hard to not have to buy more yarn for this one. I have a very bad habit of like, because my color whims are so intense that like, I'll do a scrappy project or a stash project and then like decide it's not just perfect and then I end up ordering more yarn and then it just kind of keeps going. So I am using I have like random skeins of Harrisville. This is not a commercial for Harrisville. Of Harrisville Designs Highland, their worsted weight, from like other projects. And I just like have them kicking, like this is for my Scarecrow vest. And they're just kind of like kicking around and they're like random skeins that I don't really have a plan for. So I'm trying to use all of them in this. And of course I want to order a super acidy green. There's like a teeny bit of this, which is Green Mountain Spinnery Weekend Woolen Lichen, which I knit a whole sweater out of and I love it. But there's like this teeny bit left. So I'm thinking about doing like a random stripe in here of like with this in it, just to kind of use it up. So I'm feeling a little make do and mendy here. So I'm really enjoying it. I've made the pattern, which I really love, gives you 2 options. There's a modern sweater vest fit that has like a high-low hem and it's cute. It's just not my jam. And the pattern gives you instructions for a more traditional sweater vest. So here's what I did because I had to make it like more traditional is not, old enough for me. So I did the ribbing for the size down from my size and then I increased, and it's a thick, it says just as long as you want. So I did a 3-inch bottom ribbing, which is pretty typical on vintage style things. And I did the smallest the size down from my size for the ribbing, and then I went up and did increases up to my actual bust size. So it should be fitted at the waist and then like a little blouseier elsewhere and then fit me with no ease at the bust. Oh, so the modern fit has positive ease, which nope, never. So that is what is going on with this. So I'm just kind of, kicking along. I really like it. I'm not 1,000% sure that I'm totally in love with the colors, even though it is exactly what I thought it was going to look like. I don't know. The like yellow and orange feels a little candy corn to me, but I'm also willing to see it through because 1, I'm using up stash yarn and not like buying a whole bunch of stuff. And like, it's what I said I wanted, so we'll see. But it is an enjoyable process, and if I hate it, well, I'll deal with it, It's just knitting. So that is the knitting stuff. Oh my gosh, y'all, this is going to be so long. Do you need to pee? Do you need a break? Do you need a snack? This is what happens when I don't talk to the internet for 6 months. So we're going to talk a little bit about sewing, and I took October off from production work for Republica Unicornia and binge sewed. I need that. Garment sewing is not something, like I need to be in the space for it, and I am a perpetual motion machine. So like once I get going, I will keep going until I decide I'm done. But like sometimes that getting going with it is really hard. So I sewed a lot in October. I am going to show you one of the things that I sewed. This has all been shared on Instagram, but I do want to talk a little bit about some of the things and also some upcoming plans. So I'm going to stand back and maybe you won't be able to hear me because the microphone's on the phone. Oh, look, clattering. So this is not going to work. I'm going to kick buckets out of the way because I'm a professional. whatever, y'all can't see it. These are the Rosie the Riveter overalls from Folkwear Patterns. I bought these. These were actually the thing that kicked off the like 1940s wardrobe project, organizing principle. And I have been sitting on them because they scared me, because Folkwear Patterns, I have such a love-hate relationship with them. I love that I can get these styles that I like. I hate their drafting and instructions. And I know whenever I do a Folkwear pattern, eventually I will end up with something I love, but I know it's going to be a frustrating process, and it has pretty much been a frustrating process. Some of their construction techniques are like not the most efficient and not the most standard, and you don't really realize that until you're in the middle of them. So that's my disclaimer. Their sizing isn't spectacular. So, you know, I'm a great ad, but I can get styles that I like. And so like sometimes I'm willing to suffer. Well, I have kind of been sitting on the Rosie the Riveter overalls for a while, and I was like, okay, finally I was in a place where my brain could handle doing it, like, because I knew I was gonna have to do a full mock-up, and I could handle it, and I did it, and it was like, they were surprisingly okay to make. I wouldn't say they're like amazingly fun, but I got the fit down. I nailed the fit. I was very proud of that. And I really like them. I'm reaching for them. I'm wearing them all the time. This is a navy blue organic cotton twill from Mood Fabrics, and it's like the perfect weight. I really enjoy them. Like I'm enjoying them. And the pattern comes with like a bunch of stuff. It comes with a shirt. It comes with a knitting pattern. It comes with a crochet pattern for a snood. It comes with, and it comes with a trouser option. And so I actually, right after I made these, I made the trousers in a wine-colored corduroy and like moved the zipper to the side, and they're really, really cute. And I'm enjoying those. So I have two 1940s trousers. So these smooth sailing trousers by Wearing History are like a little flowier, like a little more 30s flowy, and the Rosie the Riveter ones are like a little more 40s, like, I don't want to say tapered, but like slightly tapered. So I have two trouser patterns that fit, which is very exciting and very much my style. So I made these. I was like all high on my, like, I'm a badass sewist, and I went to make a mustard twill pair. I ordered like really beautiful from Style Maker mustard twill, and they were a nightmare. So that was the issue was the instructions for the waistband assembly are bonkers and like not standard. Usually when you do like a jumpsuit or like even putting a waistband in a skirt, there's like, you like sandwich the top and bottom between the bodice piece and the pants, and it like all gets covered. It's lovely. This has you like sew the whole thing and then like hand sew a facing over it. And it was very bad because the mustard twill had a lot more drape, and it showed because it's a lighter color, it showed everything, and I like had to undo it. It was a whole nightmare, but I'm still wearing them. I am wearing them. They got a little stretched out in the back, but I'm going to show you, if you can see, I'm a little wrinkly. So I'm really loving these. So I'm wearing overalls a lot. This is an older thing that I made. This is the smooth sailing blouse that I love. I made a couple of these in October. So overalls have been happening. I've been making some trousers. I've got plans, which I will get to momentarily. Yeah, I feel like I got through most of what I wanted to make for autumn sewing. And one thing, and I've said this before, like the best thing about making your own clothes and knitwear is all of your stuff. If you know your own style and you know what colors you like and what colors you wear, everything looks good with everything else. And so you can like layer and make more outfits, and it's very fun, and I'm having a really, really good time with that. I am. It has just been incredibly empowering, but also like a really fun creative thing. And I'm like ready to, like, it makes me want to go out more because I have cute clothes. Like, I don't need to be a weird hermit. I can like go be cute in public, and I enjoy that. And another thing that has been kind of funny to see, I've never been an athleisure kind of person. Like even like height of pandemic, like I would wear leggings some. I have weird sensory issues with stretch fabrics, so even like stretchy cotton gets to me sometimes, but I cannot handle anything synthetic. Like I can't. Like stretchy synthetics like make my skin crawl. So I've always dressed up not intentionally, just like that's what I'm comfortable in. So I'm comfortable in skirts, I'm comfortable in woven fabrics. And it's really interesting and I'm going to sound like everyone's grandma, and I don't mean to, there's no judgment behind this, but as sort of fashion in general has gotten more casual, I'm starting to look like a fancy girl when I go out. Like I am looking fancy, which is funny. But I'm also very, very comfortable. And I like being able to tailor clothes that fit my body. This is amazing. I can't recommend this enough. Learning how to sew was not fun, but I think it was totally worth it. So I think I should. I'm going to talk about this thing that I made as kind of a like sign of how far garment sewing has come. This is a very long podcast. I hope you're still here. If not. So this is the Patina blouse by Friday Pattern Company. I have made short sleeve versions of this. This is a long sleeve version. And I love that I made it out of floral corduroy, and I'm like, why does it look so 70s? Do I have lipstick on my chin? Nope, it was fuzz. Okay, so this is a very fine whale Japanese corduroy that is just lovely. It's really beautiful. It's like all my favorite colors. It's got like a wine and like a dusty rose, blue. So the Patina blouse is a fabulous pattern. I will say I'm going to make more of them, which I'll talk about, but I'm going to make more of them. I will take some of the volume out of the sleeve. It's just a little too like long puff sleeve for me, for what I want it to look like. That's an easy fix. I just have to be in the state of mind to do it. So the Patina blouse is a fabulous pattern. I don't have enough long sleeve blouses in my life, which is kind of strange. And so I actually have fabric for 3 ivory blouses. Send help. I am going to be so bored coming because I don't have enough long sleeve blouses. I like making short sleeve blouses. And one of the reasons that I do not have a lot of long sleeve blouses is I've been really afraid of sleeve plackets, because everyone has talked about how hard and scary sleeve plackets are. Well, I figured if anyone could talk me through a sleeve placket, it was Friday Pattern Company, because this pattern is just, it's perfect. It has some high-end looking finishes that are also really easy to do, and it's just like the perfect mix of sort of fun to sew and also like a little challenging, but not in a scary way. So I don't know if y'all can see because the camera's weird. There's my sleeve placket. So it's a bias bound sleeve placket. It was no problem. Absolutely none. So proud of myself. It was fun to do. The instructions were good. There's video tutorials. So if you need to learn how to do the thing. So I have a couple more of these lined up. So this blouse has the long sleeve has the sleeve plackets. I'm not going to button that up. And it does this really beautiful thing where the facing is, you like sandwich raw edges in the facing. So there are no raw edges at the yoke. And I love this. And it goes all the way down. So you're facing, because sometimes like your facing kind of floats free, like in a lot of patterns, and this doesn't. It's just got these like lovely, lovely finishes. So I never thought I'd do this. Oh, and I French seamed it all. So I've been not using my serger, and doing French seams, and just, I'm really, really enjoying the like higher sort of fancier seam finishes. Like, cause I'm not worried this stuff's gonna fit, cause I know it's gonna fit. I know how to do it. I've been bias binding my armholes, which is so much better than using the serger. That is the most awful, terrifying, messy thing that you can do with a serger is finish armholes. So I've been bias binding my armholes, and it's like a fun way to get a little extra color in and use up some extra fabric. So I am I'm having a nice time doing kind of fancier things. So I made this in October. I will be making another couple long sleeve ones, because this like giant 1920s collar is so good with vests, and it's really good with cardigans. Like it works so well. So brief sewing plan. So I have a bunch of ivory fabric, because there is nothing I wear more in my life than an ivory top. It's been that way for 15 years and it continues to be that way. So I need more ivory tops. So I'm going to do a long sleeve patina blouse with the reduced puffy, not reduced puffy up here, reduced like volume sleeves in this, which is a cotton voile from Mood, I think. And it's like a very 1920s print. I really like this one. Okay. You would never guess this. Like my entire like business brand is like rainbows and unicorns. I love brown. I love wearing brown. I think it's the redhead thing. And like I like autumnal shades anyway, but this is poo brown. This is like not a pretty color, y'all. This is Merchant and Mills corduroy, which means it was expansive. And I love it. So gross. It's like the perfect like 1940s. It's like the wartime farm. Oh my gosh, we haven't talked about that, have we? We need to talk about the historical farm series. Okay. So anyway, it's gross. I love it. I'm going to make trousers out of it and wear them. But look. I mean, and then I have I've had this in mind forever. I'm going to do smooth sailing trousers out of this. It's a forest green 21 whale corduroy. So I'll have like soft winter pants. Okay, we're going to talk real quick. So that is all of and then I'm going to talk about the historic farm series, and then I'm going to let y'all go. So the historic farm series, if you are not familiar, are BBC shows, and the three best ones. There are a couple other ones. I will rank them. So the three best ones are Victorian Farm, Edwardian Farm, and Wartime Farm. I think Edwardian's my favorite because they're in the Tamar Valley and it is gorgeous. So it is two archaeologists, Peter Ginn and Alex Langlands, and a historian, Ruth Goodman, who is a queen. Oh my gosh. And they go and they live and they work a historic farm for a year. And so Peter and Alex are experimental archaeologists, so it's like very period appropriate. They use period appropriate farming techniques, and it's so I started watching them during the pandemic, and they are it's like the most, I'd say like wholesome but like also empowering kind of television. Highly recommend. I think they're on Prime. Wartime isn't. You can get Wartime on YouTube, but just really, really good. There's also a Stewart one called Tales from the Green Valley, I think, that has like some extra people. That was their first one. And then there's a Tudor monastery farm that Alex is not on, which is sad because I love Alex. Although, I don't know, I think Peter's my favorite. Sound off in the comments if you have crushes on all three of these humans. So anyway, highly recommend. Yeah, so good. But Wartime Farm has like because it's my style era, and there's just, Alex wears a sweater vest that's amazing, and he has brown corduroy trousers. So just highly recommend. We can talk about it. Okay. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Shop update, Thursday the 9th. I'll be there. Holiday, Small Business Saturday / holiday bag update is coming on the 25th. So newsletter, I'll leave links. Sign up for the newsletter. I send out non-spammy occasional emails so you can stay in touch with what's going on. So I hope whatever you are working on is just making you squeal and bringing you joy, much, much needed joy in the world we live in. And I'll see you next time. Bye.